past couple of weeks with the plot map, and so today we're learning about flashbacks and how they kind of how they tie into your flashbacks. So I'm going to show you guys a little clip. On your warm-up sheet, number 1 and number 2 are the same on here as they are on your warm-up sheet. So after watching this first clip, we should be able to see kind of what flashbacks are, and then on the next slide we'll go a little bit more into depth as to what they are. So pay attention to the screen, and let's watch. Okay. So on number 1, we kind of asked a similar question. So what's the purpose of the flashback in this scene?
Show how he's feeling.
Show us feeling, okay?
How the food represents his past, so like, it gives him some type of taste.
Okay. I think a hand over here. What's up?
It reveals like that he went home. It felt like home.
Okay, so the food brought him a memory back of his what? His childhood, right? So would you guys say that this is a positive or negative flashback?
Positive.
Positive, right? Because he's a food critic, right? So a food critic tends to be someone of, really high status, and ratatouille is a peasant dish. A peasant dish meaning like, people who maybe didn't have a lot of money would find whatever they could in their fridge, put it together, and this is dinner. So you'd expect a food critic to kind of think a little bit less of it, but how did it sway his opinion on the restaurant? Because it brought him back to his childhood, right? In a good way. So do you guys think that he ended up giving, well, if you've seen the movie, you guys know, but did it end up swaying his opinion to give them a good review or a bad review? A good review, right? So yeah, so on number 1, you guys should be able to answer number 1. How does this flashback have its purpose? What does it do for the story? So I'll give you guys a bit to answer before we move on to number 2. No, it's just that you can't afford to have, not necessarily, right? Because in my culture, like, we would do like no, but it means like, but for people who have like a lot of money, they pay for the for them to have like things like that. So yeah, I guess. So typically, when I say a peasant dish, it doesn't mean that like, so they just probably don't have the money to like buy like the most expensive meat and stuff to make like more formal dishes.
If I won the lottery tomorrow, I would still eat beans and rice the next day.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just in that time period, it was really like, he's like this huge critic, so he's really like, this is a little, you would think, right? But he
That's
actually
why,
enjoyed it.
that's why he wrote it down before he tasted it, because he saw the
Yeah, he's kind of like,
bacon.
but then he tasted it and he remembered what it was, right? Because sometimes we see something and we're like,
You can't really get a flashback of that. You can't really get a flashback of something.
in that case it did though.
I don't know, I'm talking about
You mean PTSD?
Yeah, you can't have a flashback in real life.
no, I'm talking about like, you can't like, any something you can't like.
Okay, so go ahead and wrap up the sentence you guys are on. If you guys don't finish, it's not a huge deal. We have all week to do this. And then go watch the screen again. Second clip goes with now.
So,
how does this flashback kind of lead to Rapunzel's revelation? What happened? What did she see first?
She's parents.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Yes, I'm asking what did she see on the cloth, right? The sunflower. Or some people think it's a sun, but it's a sunflower. Okay, so why is that significant? What did it lead her to remember or know?
It made her remember her parents.
Her parents, okay? Are her parents royalty or normal people? Royalty. So if their parents are royalty, what does that make her? It also makes her royalty, it makes her a princess, right? And if you guys had seen the movie, she's like this lost princess that they've been looking for years. So that's where she figures out, I'm the lost princess they're looking for, right? So in this case, her flashback is used to reveal something from her past, right? And it's kind of strange because if you guys were babies, you think, if I asked you about something that you did when you were a baby, would you remember now?
No.
Right, it's too far back. But that had to be super significant for her to be able to remember this far in her life. So with that said, you guys should be able to answer number 2. And then we will continue. Just take a second to answer number 2. What's up? Revelation is like a aha moment. Like you're revealing something that's revelation.
There's like a big clump.
Okay. Okay, so wrap up the sentence you guys got, and then you guys can exit out of your warm-up sheet. Like I said, if you guys don't finish, it's not a huge deal. You guys have all week to turn it in. Okay, let us see. Okay, so our essential question is, what is a flashback? We kind of just talked about it. A flashback is a what? If you were saying it to someone who didn't know what it was, how would you tell them?
Memory.
Some people are saying memory, okay?
I jump back to the past.
Jump back to the past.
Remember
That's a
memory.
Right, okay.
In the moment.
Right, and so how do you guys think it would fall in like a story or a plot map, right? How do you think it would help a story?
A mystery.
Okay, okay. So our objective is I want you guys to be able to understand how flashback is going to play a role in characterization and plot development, kind of like we've been talking about these last few weeks in the stories you guys have been reading. And this will be really important for further this week when we kind of dive more into it. So yeah, a lot of you guys were correct. It's a memory. So it kind of interrupts the chronological order of events, which means that in the present time, you would remember a flashback that happened way before the story happened, right? So it kind of interrupts the story or the movie or whatever it may be, to kind of have either some kind of effect. So it could provide background knowledge, it could help characterize the characters, it can help us reveal hidden information that we didn't know before, and then create dynamic plot. So in you guys' tables, I want you guys, I'm gonna read this to you guys, and then I want you guys to kind of discuss on your own. So we have a little prompt on the screen. So a woman is about to get married, and as she puts on her veil, she kind of remembers what her fiance said 3 years ago when he swore he would marry her. And as she remembers that, a tear comes to her eye, and she prepares to walk down the aisle. So I'm gonna give you guys about 2 minutes for you guys to be able to answer this in y'all's groups, and then we'll talk about it all together. Okay, y'all have 2 minutes on the board.
Purpose, she remembered that he didn't cheat.
Because she remembered he told the truth.
For 3 years.
Just talk together about what you think, what's trying, is it good or bad, you know, we're gonna talk about it.
It's hard because get married, bro. Fulfill the promise.
Phil, that's right on the money. That's hard. It's true that
And they get the
say that word. That's true. You're the only person who said that. You're the only person who said that. Is it a good memory or a bad memory? Because he ended up doing what? fulfilling his,
I got no storage again.
right? What does it tell us probably about him? He's probably a good guy, right? He said, you know, if a lot of people confront us, like, doesn't mean they're actually gonna do them, right? So probably a good guy. So, Osman, you're on the same
He knows
page?
about this stuff.
Y'all
I
think
think
that?
because he be focused on his real life.
Well, have you had the chance to open it? Well, let's talk about it.
I really have no idea.
It's okay.
That's like the ice that.
Alright, so what did you guys talk about in your tables? What do we know from the flashback? What can we gather from it? He fulfilled his promise. Okay, David said the same thing over there, that if he promised her and they're at their wedding now, right? That means that he ended up fulfilling his promise. So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing.
Right? So her flashback serves to do what? What do we gather from the guy probably from that flashback? He's faithful, trustworthy, okay? So yeah, this memory serves that her fiance was so sure about the relationship early on. They must have had a really nice, good relationship. Because he said that to her 3 years ago, which means up to this point they have been together for 3 years.
Well, I mean, unless it's her fiance now, and 3 years ago she knew him.
Well, yeah, that's what it's saying. So
she
it kind of provides some background information, maybe to the relationship, but also to him specifically. It helps us realize that he fulfilled his promise, he's a loyal guy, and they have the happy ending. So to kind of wrap up what we've been talking about, you guys know we've been, going through plot maps, when your pentas and all those things. So how does flashback help us in the stories that we read? So a flashback kind of on here, this is a plot map for like a story that we've read beginning to end, right? We always have our beginning, we have our climax, we have our resolution, we have all that. So a flashback can happen anywhere here, but a flashback will always occur before the story even starts, right? So you'll remember it, some people memorize it, some people remember it in the climax, some people, in Ratatouille, the memory or the flashback happened in the falling action. Because you were right towards the end of the movie, all you needed was this guy to say, is the restaurant good or not, and then the movie's over, right? So he ended up having his flashback here. But most people in Rapunzel and Tangled, you might have it towards the climax, because the important thing is she remembers that she's a princess, right? So yeah, with that said, this is what we're gonna touch base on today over flashback. But like I said, this whole week and on y'all's test, y'all need to know about flashbacks, what they do for the stories. So once again, I'll ask you guys, what's a flashback? How are you describing it to somebody else? Is it a memory? Is it something that helps feelings? Okay. So once again, do we all understand flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
Everyone can think of a time they had a flashback. They definitely know what it is. And we're in good shape for this week, right? All right.